Horror movie history is full of iconic villains that have been in the spotlight across multiple films. Unfortunately, though, there are just as many standout, one-off baddies that have never got the chance to shine in at least one sequel. As such, I believe that they should all get another shot to scare viewers both new and old while becoming even more iconic. Now yes, before we get going, some of these did technically appear in subsequent reboots, fan films, and lost media. However, those don't really count since they're not really official canonical follow-ups, so them's the rules, let's get going. So with that in mind, I am Gareth, this is What Culture Horror, and here are 10 one-off horror movie villains who must return. Number 10, Chop Top, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. The original Texas Chainsaw Massacre is among the most influential and disturbing horror pictures of all time. And knowing that he couldn't really catch lightning in a bottle twice and wanting to try something drastically different, director Tobe Hooper decided to make the 1986 sequel significantly campier and stranger. The result is highly divisive, yet the one element that even the most impassioned naysayers seem to enjoy is Bill Moseley's turn as Robert Chop Top Sawyer. The twin brother of the hitchhiker from the first film, the scene-stealing Chop Top is beloved for his poor hygiene and etiquette. Yeah, he routinely eats dead skin from his scalp. Lovely. And also his unpredictably sinister yet cartoonish behaviour. He spends much of the runtime taunting lead protagonist Stretch, who ultimately forces Chop Top to fall from a tower to his death. That said, 2000's unreleased spin-off All-American Massacre, written and directed by Hooper's son, William, brought Chop Top back as an incarcerated prisoner. And fans have been enjoying bootlegs of All-American Massacre for 25 years now. So there's clearly a lot of potential to properly revive the fascinating psychopath in an official capacity. Number 9, Franklin Harris, Bad Dreams. Now, more than a handful of films have borrowed from A Nightmare on Elm Street over the past 40 years. Ranging from overt copycats such as Mahakal, which I've probably said wrong, and Dream Demon, to more subtle, original and recognisable mimics such as Wishmaster and Brain Scan. 1988's Bad Dreams lies somewhere in the middle in several respects, particularly in relation to 1987's A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. Primarily, it stars Jennifer Rubin, who played Taryn White in Dream Warriors as traumatized heroine Cynthia Weston. Additionally, its central plot, that being the surviving member of a New Age cult recuperates in a mental hospital while being stalked by the burnt visage of the organization's predatory leader, easily evokes the third entry in the Nightmare on Elm Street catalogue. Regardless of its derivatives, Bad Dreams is a surprisingly compelling and inventive supernatural slasher because of antagonist Franklin Harris' unnerving design, chillingly realistic backstory, and playfully macabre antics. That is easy for me to say, playfully macabre. Given that Weston has another vision of Harris after she's ostensibly beaten him, the door is certainly wide open for the scarred maniac to make his return in a satisfyingly penned and practical effects heavy legacy sequel. Yeah, sound good anyone? Yep, let's do it. Number 8, Asami Yamazaki, Audition. Few movies have scared viewers away from dating as much as Takashi Miike's signature film, that being 1999's Audition. Audition is framed around an unethical and sexist, but still sympathetic widower/father named Shigeharu, who fakes TV show casting auditions to find a new wife. Although things initially go well between him and his partner Asami, Miike's tale concludes with Asami drugging Shigeharu and committing some of the most unsettling physical and psychological torture in all of 20th century cinema. It is insane. Asami's insecurities, jealousy, and violent past are shown long before the final scene. Nevertheless, it is her paralyzing Shigeharu before puncturing him with needles and sawing off his foot that makes Audition, famous. Or should that be infamous? At the end, Shigeharu's teenage son, Shigehiku, kicks Asami down the stairs, and she murmurs about her love for Shigeharu as she seemingly dies from a broken neck. Asami is far too intriguing, multi-layered, and entertainingly sadistic to be restricted to just one cinematic appearance, right? I mean, undoubtedly, a solid screenwriter and/or director could devise a logical and rewarding way to bring her back to further explore her complex history and mentality, while also having her dish out extra debauchery. Yeah, we need some more weirdness in our lives. Number 7, The Babadook. The Babadook. 2014's The Babadook was beloved for being a creepy yet poignant allegory for grief, and its titular monster endures in the zeitgeist due to its haunting facade. Roughly 10 years on, a second outing with the character would surely be creatively and, most importantly for the big studios out there, commercially successful. It's just all about the money, isn't it? The original follows a widow named Amelia who's perpetually mourning the loss of her husband who died 6 years prior on the way to the hospital so Amelia could give birth to their son, Samuel. Eventually, Samuel comes across a pop-up book called Mr. Babadook and becomes convinced that the creature is real. The rest of the duration is devoted to both of them dealing with strange events that seem to verify the Babadook's existence, while Amelia wrestles with her sanity and her increasing dislike for her own son. The symbolism of the monster is solidified when Amelia accepts that the Babadook, and thus her trauma, will always be around, locked in her literal and mental/emotional cellar to occasionally be confronted. Grief-themed horror is extremely popular these days too, so clearly now would be the perfect time to let the Babadook out of the basement once again, right? Number 6, Billy, Black Christmas, 1974. 1978's Halloween may have kicked off the golden age of slashers, but Bob Clark's Black Christmas entered the genre 4 years earlier, and it arguably did it better than Carpenter's masterpiece. Yep, I said it. Black Christmas' power lies in its ruthless, enigmatic, and frightening villain, Billy, who spends his time hiding in the attic of a sorority house as he regularly harasses the sorority sisters and knocks them off one by one. Billy's murders, which include the use of a plastic bag and a glass unicorn sculpture, are simple but disturbing and quite inventive. Yet it's his vulgar and demented phone calls to the women that makes him unfathomably scary. Billy's wickedness is bolstered by the film's climax, when protagonist Jess Bradford's boyfriend Peter gets blamed for the massacre after being killed by Jess with a fire poker. Thus, no one ever learns that Billy even exists, so he is free to continue his murder spree as Jess sleeps in her bedroom with an officer ostensibly protecting her outside. Neither the polarizing 2006 remake of Black Christmas nor the It's Me Billy fan film duology count as officially bringing back this Billy. So for all intents and purposes, he is yet to have the canon comeback he definitely deserves. Number 5, Doomhead, 31. There are many things wrong with Rob Zombie's trashy, derivative, preposterous, and unsatisfying 31. However, Richard Brake's turn as calculated killer Doomhead is not one of them. In fact, he's the saving grace of the whole film, not to mention one of Zombie's most captivatingly twisted and terrifying characters. His iconic presence is instantly established during 31's prologue, wherein he calmingly but frighteningly waxes poetic about himself before fatally impaling his hapless victim with an axe. It is a chillingly artsy introduction that sets up how cold, manipulative, and vicious Doomhead can really be. The final act finds Doomhead tracking down Sherry Moon Zombie's Charlie, and after a tense face-off, he's told to retreat by the aristocrats in charge of 31 because Charlie won and is, well, free to go. Expectedly, this upsets old Doomhead, who eventually locates her on a quiet road, and the two prepare to fight once again as the credits roll. Undoubtedly, Zombie's cliffhanger conclusion demands a resolution that sees Doomhead coming out on top, folks, I think, before carrying on with his inhuman escapades in further sequels. There you go, there's an idea, go and do it. Number 4, Leslie Vernon, Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. Wes Craven's Scream is widely considered the quintessential meta horror movie. In its shadow, however, are handfuls of other genre deconstructions that warrant more attention than they typically get. 2006's Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon is easily one of them. Why? Well, because it's an exceptionally sharp slice of self-aware cinema that slyly transforms from black comedy slasher mockumentary into a legitimately authentic and effective example of the very thing that it's dissecting. Quite impressive. Initially, it centers on a film crew documenting up-and-coming murderer Leslie Vernon as he emulates homicidal heroes such as Leatherface and Michael Myers. Consequently, Behind the Mask implies that many of our favourite cinematic slashers became in-universe folk heroes, prompting Vernon to figure out how to join their ranks as the filmmakers examine how the subgenre works. Additionally, Vernon's third act switch into a vengeful foe who targets the film crew themselves as he hunts documentarian-turned-final girl Taylor is, well, quite clever. And despite being left to burn in his barn, Vernon is still alive at the end of Behind the Mask, so he could certainly go after Taylor a second time as he charismatically investigates modern horror tropes alongside cameos from modern horror actors. Number 3, La Femme, Inside, 2007. Despite not being as widely known as Martyrs and High Tension, 2007's Inside is an essential part of the new French extremity movement of the early 21st century. After all, it begins with a brutal car accident that kills expecting father, Matthew, and leaves expecting mother, Sarah, with significant physical and emotional wounds. While recuperating at home the night before her delivery, Sarah is terrorized by a mysterious woman named La Femme, who'll stop at nothing to carve Sarah's baby out of her belly. By the time the blood-soaked ordeal is done, La Femme not only succeeds in her mission by performing a fatal C-section on Sarah, but she directly or indirectly murders several other unlucky people who got in her way. Shockingly, Inside's last scene sees La Femme proudly comforting the newborn in a rocking chair she prepares to become its mum. Right. It's a startlingly cruel and unjustified resolution that can't help but leave audiences wondering what the hell is going to happen next. And that alone means that the next chapter of La Femme's story must be told, right? Number 2, The Collector, Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight. The first and still best Tales from the Crypt movie, 1995's Demon Knight, is a gem bursting with ghoulish atmospheres and goofy attitudes, conjuring the lovably campy tones, striking practical effects, and gnarly violence of the Night of the Demons and Evil Dead films. Its star attraction, without a doubt, is main baddie the Collector, a demon in human form who's determined to get a key containing sacred blood from a ragtag group of colourful strangers who have barricaded themselves in a boarding house. Played with menacing glee by Billy Zane, the Collector is a seductive but silly trickster who routinely toys with our heroes as he or his minions murder them in comically gruesome fashion. Lovely. And his irresistible portrayal, plus the fact that Demon Knight wraps up by suggesting that the reincarnated Collector will continue his pursuit of the woman who beat him, shows why he deserves to re-emerge, my friends. Number 1, Cropsey, The Burning. Upon release in 1981, The Burning received unfavourable comparisons to the burgeoning Friday the 13th series. Since then, however, it has rightly become a cult classic because of the visceral and vindictive nature of its scorched slasher, Cropsey. The basic plot of the movie is that a disliked Camp Blackfoot caretaker, Cropsey, is inadvertently set ablaze by pranksters. And 5 years on, he returns to, seek revenge, as you do. Now, admittedly, it's not a particularly unique or compelling premise on paper. Nevertheless, there are 3 main reasons why Cropsey stands out. His revolting look, look at that guy, his homicidal use of gardening shears, and his creatively sadistic mission to punish people. Later, and in the film's most legendary scene, he swiftly butchers several campers on a raft by stabbing them, slicing them, and in one instance, cutting off most of their fingers. Thanks for that, Cropsey. Ironically, he's bested by being set ablaze and subsequently reduced to a campfire myth for counsellors to retell each summer. Like Jason Voorhees before him, though, Cropsey could easily be resurrected through some sort of, enjoyably absurd shenanigans, so he can once again show off his gardening shears to a new generation of campers.